Hello. So in the last video, we learned how to build a machine learning model using Azure Machine Learning Studio, and we were able to use sample data set that was available to us, train the data using a two-class neural network, and we were able to score and evaluate that model. So after my last video, I got a lot of questions on, hey Sabrina, how do you actually, deploy this model and how do you actually use it and test it? So I guess in this video, we're going to be focusing on all those questions that I was asked after posting the last video. So let's get started. So now that we've, gotten the results, for our last machine learning model, and we were able to get an 86.3% accuracy. We can go ahead to the bottom to set up a web service. And what that basically does by, pressing this is it's saving the machine learning model and publishing it as a web service. And what that basically is, it's a function in the cloud that if you feed it any new information about any flights, it would be able to spit back a prediction on whether the flight will be delayed or not. And the output would be basically a value and how sure it is that it's accurate. Okay, so as you can see, when I pressed the deploy web service, it sort of moved everything around and it seemed like a lot of things were deleted. But I just wanted to assure you that it's been saved, that your machine learning model has been saved, and if you want to go back to your training experiment, you just press over here and you'll be able to see everything. So don't worry about, I have a lot of people saying, oh my god, everything got deleted, but no, it hasn't. So now I'm going to connect this endpoint of the service to where the data is fed in the model. And I'm just going to drag that over here, and then the output would be is what the score model is. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click on the select data set columns, and I'm actually going to remove the arrival, arrival delay 15, because we've already trained our model to be able to predict that, so we don't need to include that data set at all. So now what we're going to do now is we're going to have to run this in order to save it. So it's running. Just give it a couple of seconds. So what it's basically doing is it's running. Okay, so now we can deploy the web service. And then it's going to take us to this interface that's going to give us an API key. It's going to allow us to actually test out our machine learning model. So if we press over here, it's going to take us to, let's press over here. It's going to take us to this little interface where we can just add in any fictitious sort of information about a new flight. Okay, let's just add random figures, day of week, carrier, let's just do Southwest Airlines. The origin of the airport would be 1349512. Oh no. The scheduled arrival time would be, I don't know, like 2:35. Okay. So we're gonna press OK. Okay, so we just added fictitious data on, some flight information, and to be perfectly honest, I didn't look at, a different carrier ID. I don't even know if that was right or not. But it gave me all the values that I inputted, and then it gave me an accuracy score of 18.3%, which obviously is quite horrible, but the whole point of this is I'm just trying to show you how to actually test out your accuracy by feeding in new information and seeing how you get back out of this, okay? So now that we were able to, I guess, run and deploy it and test it out, we can actually build out a very simple console interface to be able to use this API key to give a call, like a REST call. And this is exactly how you do it. We're going to press over here, and we can say use endpoint. And if you start scrolling down after it gives you all these keys and response requests, it actually gives you sample code that you can use to actually build a very simple app that allows you to call this web service on Visual Studio. So if you want, we can, copy and paste this code. Alright, so what we're going to do is go to File, New, Project. We're going to create a new console app, and we're going to call this Machine Learning 1. Okay. So it's creating this for us. Okay, so let's get rid of this code and let's paste the sample code that was provided to us by Azure Machine Learning. And if you take a look at this code, what it's basically doing is, it's some sample code that allows us to make a REST call to our endpoint, and we get a status back. This piece of code just basically shows you how very easy it is to access this web service, and by making a REST call. So let's actually get started. And right off the bat, you can sort of see that all over our code, there's a bunch of red squigglies, which basically tells me that our code does not have the appropriate references in order for it to build properly. So, Azure Machine Learning Studio recognized that. So what they basically did is they packaged up all of the references needed for this to add machine learning to your environment by putting it all in a NuGet package. So as you can see at the very top here, you can actually copy this, and let's go to Tools, NuGet Package Manager Console. So now it's initializing our PowerShell host, and we're actually going to paste this here and click Enter. So what this code is basically doing is that it's retrieving all the packages and the different JSON frameworks for .NET, and yeah, it successfully installed this. And if you can see here, there's a bunch of references that were actually added, like Newtonsoft, which is the JSON framework. There's a bunch of them that were added, and all of a sudden you see that our squigglies are actually all gone, which means that now we're good to go. So let's actually scroll down to here. Okay. There's a lot of useful comments that say basically, replace this with the API key of your web service. So, ABC123, we gotta replace it with our API key that we can actually get from the browser interface on Azure Machine Learning Studio. So let's actually paste our API key, okay? And if we continue to scroll down, let's go to line 85, okay? And what this line does is it requests a response to get all the ones back and get some data back. And of course, the more data that we have in our model, the better the predictions are. But let's actually hit a breakpoint on line 85, okay? Let's just try running it now. And hopefully this works. And what this is basically doing is I'm hoping that it hits their breakpoint so that we would be able to sort of receive some data back, and the data that we receive is basically the exact same as what we got in our test on our browser interface. Okay, so it actually worked, so it hit our breakpoint. So if you hover over this results, it's basically giving us the exact same information that we got on our browser about our predictions and the probability of accuracy. So yeah, this is exactly what this piece of code is doing. I just wanted to, this is basically the end of the video. I just really wanted to show you a very small, demo of machine learning. Yes, it's a very complex field in data science, but it's actually quite easy to get started. And as you can see, there's like this very short sample code that actually allowed you to call our data endpoint using this web service to add machine learning to our app. And it was very, very simple. Like we just did that right now. So yeah, I mean, I hope in the next video, we can do a deeper dive on this, or machine learning workbench. But this is just basically a very introductory video on Azure Machine Learning, how to build, deploy, and test it, and play around with this. Go home and try to see what sort of insights you can draw using machine learning on the data that you have or the data that's already on the studio. And if you guys feel that you guys have built a really great model and you guys want to monetize it, you should definitely post it on Azure Marketplace. Azure Marketplace. And that's basically a marketplace that allows you to sell software, to different companies as a SaaS service for them to benefit from. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me, leave a comment if you guys have any sort of questions, if you guys have any recommendations on future videos. But with that said, I'm going to actually end the video here, and I'll definitely see you guys next time in my future videos. So thank you.